Hello and welcome to today's ExchangeWire interview. I'm John Still, Head of Content at ExchangeWire, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Charlotte Broadbent, who is General Manager UK at Faire. Charlotte, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me along. Really pleased to be here.
Well, we're going to have a discussion today about one of the major areas for the industry in 2024, which is retail, an area that Faire are at the forefront of. So to start with, can you tell us a little bit about Faire and about your role there?
Yes, absolutely. So I lead Faire's operations in the UK and have been with the business now for 2 years. Faire is the world's largest online wholesale marketplace. Now, what that means is that we connect brands who want to sell their products wholesale to retailers who want to buy products wholesale and then sell on to the end consumer. Faire was specifically designed with the independent retail market in mind. And now we have hundreds of thousands of retailers buying globally from over 100,000 brands. And they connect on our marketplace and buy direct from brands. Our business was born out of the recognition by our founders that the traditional way of doing wholesale, which was and still is, but was largely offline until very recently, was really inefficient and was actually putting those independent retailers at a disadvantage versus the big boys. And a recognition that actually when you add up that really long tail of independent retailers, that collectively they're an industry that is bigger than Amazon and Walmart, I think, combined. So Faire's about connecting those brands and retailers and giving them tools to level the playing field that previously only the big boys would have access to.
Excellent. Well, there's a lot to dive into there. I think Faire, like you've said, Faire are a huge player in this area. And one of the points you touched on there was the idea behind it and the disruption and how technology is moving the retail world and also the B2B kind of wholesale world along. How have Faire come into the marketplace, and how have you kind of started to compete, I suppose, with the bigger companies?
Yeah. So I've witnessed firsthand the digital transformation that we've seen in retail. I think wholesale was actually a little bit behind that, and as I said, largely operated offline until very recently. What that looked like is shops having to do big orders twice a year through sales agents or trade shows, which is not only a huge cash commitment, but an investment on behalf of the shop owners of needing to visit these places. And it means that they were not able to be super agile to market trends or changing consumer demands. Faire is digitally native, so while we're part of that digital transformation and leading it, we're helping those businesses who were largely offline to bring their procurement, but also their logistics and their sourcing overall online. And what that means is that shops can buy products 24/7 rather than buying in that seasonal way twice a year. Because of our scale now, the brands who sell on our platform are able to offer much lower minimum order values than they would do typically to retailers, which allows retailers to try something new for the first time and see how it works with their customers. And we have some other tools that are really technologically driven that are all about kind of reducing risk for retailers and encouraging them to be more dynamic. So if they're trying a product for the first time on Faire, we allow them to return it if that doesn't happen to work in their shop and consumers aren't buying it. Whereas if they didn't have that ability, they're much more likely to stick with the same products they know. So that has a direct knock-on effect for the end consumer, that they're likely to see more newness and more diversity and more creativity in product selection. We also provide retailers online with payment terms, which, especially for small retailers, are not available to them. So we will offer retailers 60-day payment terms such that they can buy products on Faire direct from brands. We pay out brands as soon as they need to be or immediately. The retailer has the opportunity to sell through that product and then hopefully pay us afterwards. So We're really designed about using technology to reduce the risk in the retail buying process, save retailers and brands time, and overall grow their sales.
Yeah, and it's, it seems to be you are bringing the convenience almost and the ease of a B2C selling platform, a B2C marketplace to the wholesale kind of B2B world. It seems to be, opening a lot of avenues perhaps for smaller retailers.
Yeah, we like to say we're making wholesale sexy again,
Nice.
which is one that I love. But seriously, I chat with our customers all the time and often hear from retailers that they enjoy browsing Faire in the bath at night or in bed with a cup of tea. It's an always-on channel for them where they can get inspiration but also support.
Excellent. And in terms of how, like you say, Faire's digitally native, the transformation isn't a problem that way. How is the industry shifting, and what have you seen so far in your time at Faire in terms of how technology has really been impacting Faire and the wider retail industry?
Yeah, because we're digitally native, we are helping retailers bring their practices online, but we're really leveraging the tools of data analytics, AI and machine learning to help those retailers. So to give you an example, in the traditional wholesale world, retailers would be scouring trade shows, sales agents going on trips to try and source products, whereas we're bringing 100,000 plus brands worth of products into one space and using that huge amount of data that we have over the years that we've been in business to match brands and retailers with products. So we can get really smart on recommending to you as a retailer what we think is going to work for your shop. And we have a really unique vantage point on the market from that sense, because we can see what's selling in different areas and categories. Our biggest categories are home and gift, growing hugely in food and drink and apparel. And we have an incredible pet selection as well. And we're leveraging machine learning tools to do that matchmaking, which was previously a bit of a slog for retailers. And helping them spend time rather than on kind of scouring the market for the right product, but in actually delighting their customers and doing the things that they love best, which is spending time in their shop, merchandising, interacting with their consumers.
So all about the optimization really in terms of the service you provide to your retailers and people who are involved in Faire.
Yeah, that's right. I think when you're a small business owner, and particularly over the last few years, since COVID, with the rising energy prices, the tough world of business rates today, what I've heard from our retailers is that many more of them are going back and working in their own stores again. And that means that they're super time constrained. So anything that we can do to give them time back, and it's not just on sourcing, we also support with logistics. So because of our scale, we're able to pass on great deals on shipping relationships and costs to our retailers to help them save time and money on that, so that they're not having to go and scour to compare different providers in order to send products to customers. And we've invested a lot in the back end on the invoicing process, customs and duties, all of the challenges of cross-border, particularly since Brexit, given we're sat in London right now, trying to take some of the headache out of that to help them be more efficient. And it's really exciting to hear directly from our customers on how much that's helped them and how much they love using our product.
Yeah. So on that, and picking up on a term you used before, when we chatted before the interview, you described AI as the buzziest of buzzwords. It's what things are defined on this year. Speaking more generally about the industry, can AI, can data and analytics, can machine learning, those efficiencies, can they really help small businesses compete, I suppose, against the Amazons, the giant e-commerce players? Is that really going to kind of bring about a sea change?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. You refer to it that big organizations have been using these tools for many years, maybe not by the the same name, but Faire is leveraging machine learning to get better at helping retailers discover products. That's completely native to what we do. But what I love and the trend that I'm seeing from our customers is that these tools don't have to be the reserve of big businesses. So chatting to our retailers, for instance, they're already getting smart and using these tools to save them time and get smarter on how they interact with their customers. Just to give a few examples, our retailers over Christmas, a number of them mentioned to me that they were using ChatGPT to develop their marketing strategies and outreach strategies to customers, what their pricing and promotions should look like for Christmas, which is super interesting and innovative. And then some of the tools that small businesses are already using are being sprinkled with AI magic. So most of our retailers who have a brick and mortar store now have an online shop themselves as well. And that was a fundamental thing that has changed in the last few years. We did some research with customers, and I think pre-pandemic, about 20% of them had their own online store. They were really largely offline. And since then, we think that's about 90%. So that's a huge shift. And Shopify, for instance, is the partner that a lot of them look to help create their online store. They have AI tools to help small businesses create product listings, develop different product imagery, making suggestions on online merchandising. And at Faire, we have a partnership with Shopify, which is really exciting, kind of combining this B2B platform as Faire with the B2C world of Shopify. And similarly, I'm seeing it on the creative side of our retailers' businesses, where they're using the Canva AI tools to develop really beautiful imagery and marketing collateral for their businesses. So absolutely, I think AI is kind of already native in big business, but it's really exciting and interesting to see how some of these tools are being adopted by small businesses as well. And just to go back to your point on competition and how those tools can help businesses compete, I think something that I really see in the independent retail world is that values-based shopping is super important. And that's not only driven by the business owners themselves wanting to be true to their values around having transparency around their supply chains, sustainability, for example, is all really important to our customers, but it's what their consumers are demanding from them as well. And at Faire, we help retailers source those particular products and find them easily. So we're using our data and analytics tools to help retailers find products that are not on Amazon, for instance, which happens to be our most popular filter, because the consumers at independent shops do not want to be buying commodities that they could find anywhere else. In fact, when I speak to our retailers, independent retailers, they say to me the most important thing to them is to be independent, so they can't have the same product that everyone else has. And using those kind of technology tools that technology drives and the analytics power that we have at Faire can help those retailers support the more values-driven consumption that their customers are after.
I love that. I love the not on Amazon being a huge surge, and it speaks volumes to what people are really looking for. And I was going to touch on sustainability and the supply chain and how kind of Faire are guaranteeing that through data and analytics and your work in that area. But yeah, not on Amazon is a really interesting search term.
Yeah.
But so important, and like you say, the values-led buying. Are you seeing, is that top of people's lists at the moment going into 2024? Really kind of looking at a clean supply chain, at independently sourced manufactured goods?
Yeah, I think transparency around supply chains is a trend that we're hearing more and more from our customers. The way that we can help in that is by supporting our brands in providing as much information about the products that they are supplying on our marketplace as possible. So not only providing information on where the brand is based, but where are the products from, what does the supply chain look like that creates that product. And we provide a lot of detail and product descriptions to support that, and retailers are really, really interested in it. I think that can't come at the expense of brands and products being good value, and that's absolutely still at the forefront of retailers' minds, because they do need to compete. Even if they're competing with a more premium product that consumers are willing to pay for, they still need to be able to show good value. And I think that part of having a global marketplace means that our retailers can find products at the best cost and compare the value and the supply chain elements at the same time.
Really interesting. Final question as we wrap up. What do you think is going to define the year ahead in your sector? How will your industry adapt? What technology? We've already touched on the technology, but how will retail adapt over 2024?
The billion-dollar question.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's no denying that it's been really tough out there. It seems that we've been in perma-crisis from one thing to the next, and the press loves talking doom and gloom about the British High Street, but I think there's some really positive green shoots that we should see come out to play this year. Some recent data I've seen showed that there were 20,000 independent retailer openings in the second half of last year. That's really positive about the momentum that there is in the market. And there was some recent UK consumer confidence data that I think came out last week and was reported in City AM, that despite this kind of sluggish decrease in inflation, actually consumer confidence is coming back and is starting to swing to the positive. So I'm really optimistic about this year for the British High Street, and look forward to coming back and talking to you about that again.
Excellent. Well, you'll be more than welcome back. That was a great discussion. Charlotte and Faire, making B2B sexy again. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you next time on The Interview.